The explosion of laughter echoed through the glass halls of Gresham Heights Corporation on a bright daytime morning, the kind of morning where sunlight hits the polished floors so perfectly it almost feels staged. Everyone turned toward the commotion as the CEO, Marcus Albright, known for his ruthless smirk and unapologetic arrogance, leaned over his desk, staring at the trembling young woman standing before him. She wore a faded blue dress, her hands clasped tightly, her shoulders drawn in as if trying to make herself invisible. Her name was Aria Valora, the daughter of the company's longtime maid, and in that moment, Marcus made sure she felt like the smallest person in the tallest building in the city. His words were meant to crush her spirit, to remind her of her place, to ensure she never again dared to dream above the station he believed she belonged to. But what no one knew, not even Aria herself, was that the moment he mocked her would become the very beginning of the most remarkable transformation the company, and Marcus, had ever seen. That if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strength of underestimated people, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindly Tube. Your support helps these stories reach those who need them most. Aria had arrived that morning with a small notebook filled with ideas she had carefully written during her nighttime bus rides home from her part-time job. Her mother had fallen ill, and Aria had stepped into her cleaning role temporarily, hoping to gather money for medicine. She never expected that she would overhear executives panicking about the company's massive financial downfall, or that she would find herself summoned to Marcus's office after timidly offering a suggestion one she believed could actually help. What she received in return was a wave of ridicule. Marcus dismissed her with a snide challenge, one he never expected her to accept. If she could save the company, something even his own seasoned executives couldn't do, he would give her $100 million. But the tone in which he said it made his real intention clear. It wasn't an offer. It was mockery wrapped in sarcasm, a joke disguised as a taunt delivered in front of half the boardroom. Aria left the office carrying the weight of humiliation, but also something else burning quietly beneath it: resolve. She knew struggle more intimately than most people in the building. She knew what it meant to survive with little, to claw her way through days that felt like walls. She knew how to study people, trends, and patterns while cleaning their offices and overhearing conversations they never bothered to hide in her presence. She had never held a title, never commanded attention, and never worn designer clothes or shiny badges. But she had something far more powerful, a mind sharpened by necessity, observation, and survival. She decided that if the world would not give her a place, she would carve one with her bare hands. As days passed, Aria worked tirelessly. She continued cleaning offices in the morning to keep her mother's job secure, and by afternoon she worked on analyzing the company's biggest failures. She sat in the lobby with a stack of printed reports she had secretly collected from recycling bins, poring over numbers, patterns, and decisions that made no sense. She used free public computers in the library during daylight hours to research industry trends, comparing what the company was producing with what the market actually demanded. She noticed glaring gaps, unnecessary expenses, and outdated practices Marcus had ignored out of pride. She realized the company wasn't failing because it lacked potential, it was failing because it lacked humility, innovation, and someone willing to look beyond ego. Her turning point came when she discovered a nearly abandoned division of the company, an ecotech research team hidden in a basement lab, forgotten by leadership and starved of funding. The team had been working on a sustainable battery prototype that, if completed, could revolutionize several industries. But no one believed in them, and their project had been shelved due to budget cuts. Aria spent hours with the researchers, learning about their work, asking questions, and stitching together how this single invention could become the lifeline the company so desperately needed. She created a pitch. Not a professional one, she didn't have the tools or experience for that, but a raw, brilliant one. She wrote everything by hand, drew charts with colored pencils she borrowed from neighborhood children, and stacked her notes neatly with paper clips. She practiced her speech alone in the library, her voice shaky but growing steadier each time she whispered her ideas aloud. When the day finally came to present it, Marcus nearly laughed her out of the room again. But there was something different in her eyes this time, something firm, unwavering, and impossible to ignore. She laid her notes on the table, steadying her shaking hands. The board members whispered among themselves, amused, skeptical, dismissive. Yet Aria kept going, explaining how the ecotech project could become the next cornerstone of the company, how consumers had shifted towards sustainable options, and how competitors were missing the opportunity. She explained how small adjustments in spending, marketing, and resource allocation could pull the company out of crisis within months. Her voice was soft but passionate, and though the room was filled with doubt, her words settled like seeds. Marcus rejected her proposal immediately. His ego could not accept that a maid's daughter had come up with something bolder and more insightful than anything his top executives had produced. He dismissed her in front of everyone once again, mocking her ideas as fantasy, and ordered her to leave the room. What he didn't anticipate was the quiet ripple her presentation created among the board members. After she left, several of them privately discussed her ideas. They were intrigued, impressed even, by the depth and accuracy of her analysis. When market reports from other companies began showing a growing spike in sustainable tech demand, exactly what Arya predicted, they realized they had made a mistake. They pushed Marcus to revisit her proposal. Begrudgingly, he brought her back, but this time, not with ridicule. This time, he listened with her guidance. The Ecotech division was revived. She worked with the researchers every day under bright daylight tubes in the renovated lab, helping organize data, streamline ideas, and prepare the new product launch. She became the bridge between scattered departments, bringing clarity where chaos once ruled. Marcus watched quietly from behind glass windows as the young woman he once mocked transformed into the very force driving his company's revival. Months later, when the sustainable battery prototype hit the market, it exceeded every expectation. The product sold out within weeks, earning global recognition and sparking investment offers from companies that had previously turned away. Gresham Heights went from the brink of collapse to becoming one of the fastest rising innovators in the industry. Media outlets praised the breakthrough, though none knew that it had all begun with a maid's daughter working late nights after cleaning floors. As the company grew, Marcus's pride began to crumble. The more he saw Arya's brilliance, resilience, and sincerity, the more he realized how wrong he had been, not only about her, but about leadership itself. He found himself observing her from afar, watching her help employees without judgment, watching her bring hope to people who had nearly lost it. She wasn't trying to prove anyone wrong. She was simply trying to make things better. Finally, on a bright afternoon, Marcus called Arya to his office. This time, there was no mocking smirk, no arrogance, no superiority. Instead, there was something like humility in his expression, something like regret. He carried a signed document, an official declaration awarding her the promised $100 million. He admitted that he had never intended to give her anything, that his challenge had been nothing more than a joke. But now, he wanted to honor his words genuinely. He thanked her, not as a CEO addressing a maid's daughter, but as a human acknowledging another human's extraordinary courage. Arya stood there quietly, processing the moment. She didn't cry. She didn't run. She simply breathed deeply, knowing this was not a gift, it was something she had earned through grit, intelligence, and unstoppable will. She accepted the award not for herself, but for her mother, for the nights she worked tirelessly, for every moment she had been overlooked, and for every person who had ever been told they did not belong. With her newfound wealth, Arya created scholarships for underprivileged students, funded community centers, and expanded the Ecotech department to create job opportunities. She became a symbol of hope, proving that backgrounds do not define potential, and that kindness, determination, and resilience can turn impossible odds into extraordinary triumphs. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindly Tube. Your engagement helps us continue creating stories that inspire and uplift.